All right, let's jump right in. What if I told you that the most powerful forces in business, in society, heck, in our entire world, are completely invisible? It sounds a little out there, I know, but today we're going to dig into this really radical idea about where true power actually comes from and, what really holds everything together. Okay, this quote right here, it just nails it. It gets right to the heart of what we're talking about. The idea is that the stuff that really lasts, we're talking nations, laws, even massive companies, they're not really built from steel and stone. They're built from meaning, from these collective stories and agreements that we all kind of just decide to believe in. I mean, think about that for a second. That's a huge and honestly a pretty counterintuitive idea, right? So that leads us to a really crucial question, especially for anyone in a leadership role. If power isn't just about the tangible stuff, the budget, the headcount, the office space, then what is it? And more importantly, how do you actually build it? Well, that is exactly what we are going to break down right now. All right, first up, the real power is invisible. We're going to start by really challenging a huge assumption that, let's be honest, pretty much all of us make. The idea that the most powerful forces in our world are the ones we can't even see. I mean, it's just how we're wired to think, isn't it? Especially in the business world. We're always looking at the bottom line, tracking revenue, counting inventory, valuing the physical buildings. It's all about what you can touch, what you can count. We just assume that what has weight is what really matters. But here's the twist. The argument is that this is just a huge misconception, that the real architecture of our world, the stuff that truly shapes everything, is built from things like shared agreements, collective beliefs, these invisible frameworks. So the big takeaway here? We've got to start looking beyond just the material stuff. Okay, section 2, society's invisible architecture. Look, I get it, this is a pretty big theory, so you might be asking, where's the proof? Well, let's actually go looking for this so-called invisible architecture out in the real world. Okay, let's try a little thought experiment. I want you to imagine a company. Now, let's strip it of everything tangible. I mean everything. The products, gone. The revenue, zero. All of its employees, they've all left. Now, you'd think that company is dead, right? It's just gone. But here's the thing, it's not. As long as that little piece of paper, that legal registration, is still intact, the company still exists. It's a legal fiction, an idea. Its true power, its existence, doesn't come from its physical assets, but from that invisible structure, an idea that's been given legal form. It's pretty wild when you think about it. And once you see it, you start seeing it everywhere. It's this universal pattern. Think about it. Corporations, they're just legal fictions that help channel money. Currencies, they only have value because we all collectively believe they do. Constitutions, they're just a set of agreed-upon rules that organize entire nations. And a company's mission, it's a collective vision that can align thousands of people to work toward the same thing. None of these things are physical, you can't hold them in your hand, but they literally move the world. All right, next up, the formula for emergence. So we've established that these powerful, invisible structures are all around us. But that begs the question, how are they even created? Where do they come from? Well, the source material points to this absolutely fascinating process called emergence. So what is emergence? Well, think of it like this. It's what happens when simple things combine inside a specific structure to create something new, something complex, and often something totally unexpected. It's not magic, it's more like a recipe, a process that creates something way, way bigger than just the sum of its parts. And the JFK moonshot is the perfect case study for this. So, step 1. JFK provided a super clear, incredibly ambitious direction. We're going to the moon. Simple. Step 2. The government poured in a massive amount of energy. We're talking billions of dollars and thousands of the brightest minds. And third, they created a structure to handle it all, a brand new organization called NASA. And the result? The emergence? Well, yeah, they got to the moon. But that wasn't all. The unexpected outcomes were revolutionary. Things like modern computing, telecommunications, even the early foundations of the internet. The final result was so much bigger than the original goal. So, if we boil it down, here's the formula. You've got energy, that's the raw potential, the fuel. Then you need structure, that's the container that organizes and holds all that energy. And finally, you need direction, the purpose that channels the energy. When you get those three things to align just right, boom, that's when emergence happens. That's when you get entirely new capabilities, whether it's something as small as a new idea or as big as life, stars, or even whole civilizations. Okay, now we're going to zoom out, way out, because what's so wild about this idea is that it's not just a framework for business or society. The argument is that this is a fundamental pattern of the entire universe. And yeah, this is where it gets a little mind-bending, so stick with me. This same logic seems to work on totally different scales. So on a human scale, you have a company's charter, an invisible idea that aligns the energy of all its employees, right? But on a cosmic scale, you have the invisible force of gravity that organizes random stellar dust into a brand new star. It is the exact same pattern, an invisible structure channeling energy toward a specific outcome. And there's actually a name for this, the universal law of increasing complexity. It's the simple, elegant principle that says, wherever you have energy flowing through a coherent structure with a purposeful direction, new capabilities will arise. Something new and more complex is always born. It connects the birth of galaxies to the founding of a startup. It really does happen everywhere. Okay, section 5, leading with intention. This is all fascinating, but let's bring it back down to earth. How can we actually use this universal law? For leaders, how do you put this incredible power to work? Well, it all comes down to leading with intention. So if you're a leader, this completely reframes your job. Your most important role isn't managing spreadsheets or physical assets. It's to be an architect of the unseen. Your job is to design that invisible architecture, the mission, the culture, the core values, the strategy. Those are the structures that will actually channel your team's energy and create those emergent outcomes. And this final quote just brings it all home. When imagination is stabilized, what that means is when you take something like a vision or a mission, which are really just acts of imagination, and you turn them into real, stable frameworks and processes, that's when they become these unbelievably powerful tools that align people and create real, lasting change. So, that leaves us with one final question. And this one is for you to think about. In your work, in your life, beyond the daily to-do lists and the tangible results, what is the unseen reality you're trying to build? What's the invisible framework you are designing right now? Something to think about. Thanks so much for tuning in.